I have played so many hours of the Monster Hunter franchise. I mean, from 3DS, from PSP to the Wii, most recently on the PlayStation, and now Monster Hunter Wilds is on our doorstep. Next year, it is going to come out and it is going to be absolutely phenomenal, right? ArekkzGaming is one of the great content creators surrounding the Monster Hunter franchise. Did a kind of video about the 10 things, 10 of the biggest changes that you need to know coming into Monster Hunter Wilds. We're going to talk about it. We're going to watch it, and we're going to kind of discuss the game and the progression that it's made throughout the franchise.
Hey guys, it's Paradise, and with the new features coming in Monster Hunter Wilds, it's going to be a bit of a game changer and pushes the franchise in a brand new but exciting direction. So in today's video, we wanted to highlight some of the best and biggest changes that are coming in Monster Hunter Wilds, and look at how Capcom is improving the game from Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise.
Every year.
So drop a like and comment below if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more Monster Hunter coming soon. And we'll start it off with one of the biggest changes to the core gameplay loop with the introduction of alphas. In previous Monster Hunter games, we did have monsters that had bigger and badder versions of themselves being the same species, with things like apex monsters. However, now in Wilds, they're layering this system into the actual gameplay, as alphas will be the dominant monster in a pack or a herd. We have already seen examples of this in the trailer with an alpha Doshiguma, which was much bigger and more aggressive. So with the monster's behavior being different, we as the player will need to plan and figure out how to hunt and what the best course of action will be to take them on. From the recent interviews, the developers gave examples of scenarios where players would lead the alpha monster away from the herd, as this will change the behavior of it.
Alright, so with the alpha monsters, I think that's a really awesome mechanic, because here's the thing, you think about any animal in nature. You have the alpha, right? Lions, bears, etc. So what happens is, with Monster Hunter, you always had the like the different colored ones, right? Like the tempered monsters and arch-tempered and like all of these different layers to it. Well, now you have alphas, which you still have the normal pack, but then you have the leader. The leader should hopefully give its own separate rewards, right? By hunting an alpha Dojigama or hunting an alpha, Rathian or Rathalos or something like that, you should be able to get separate armor sets or separate gear for that. That's specific. Oh, wow. You see a hunter out there, you know that person's got the alpha set, right? It kind of sets them apart. Now, what I find interesting and what I'm worried about, not necessarily worried, but thinking about, is what levels of monsters does this alpha pertain to? Because the smaller monsters, fine. There's no way you're going to have like an alpha Elatrion, right? An alpha Tigrex. Because what that means is you're going to have multiple Tigrexes just to have an alpha there present, right? Well, those monsters, I'm just to name a couple, right, are already tough as it is. But then you add in the alpha set along with the regular ones. That's going to be not a fun fight. I'm going to tell you that much right now. Especially if you have more than one Tigrex. When they do their little charge attack, turn around, charge again. You think about all three of them like charging in and around. Yeah, you like my demonstration there. But it's beside the point. Alphas are a great thing, but I wonder where it's going to draw the line about what level of monster that alphas are going to pertain to.
Making it less aggressive, which in turn would make the hunt easier for us as the player and the hunter. We really want to see how this system actually impacts the gameplay, and we do have a few questions. For example, can there be endgame monsters that can also be alphas, as that would be pretty cool?
No, they can't, and no, it would not be cool. For the information that I just stated before, you have an Elatrion, you have a Valkana, monsters like that are solo bosses, and then you have supposedly an alpha Elatrion, an alpha Valkana. That would insinuate that then there's going to be multiple of them at a time to then have an alpha, right? Those fights are already hard as it is, let alone having multiple at the same time. So I don't think it would be cool. I think it'd be kind of annoying and frustrating. because where does it draw the line with the level and the scale of monsters?
It would also be cool if alphas had different drop chances or dropped even more or separate
100%.
items from the base version of their monsters. Perhaps because the alphas will be harder to take down and hunt, there could be whole separate armor sets or weapons for them. And next is something that blew us away when we first learnt about it, and it's the general improvements to the ecosystem, which we think people might be sleeping on a bit. Capcom have explained some of the features and changes to the ecosystem from...
World did a great job. So World did a great job of having the world interactable, where you could drop things, you could drop on it, you could fling them into things, a trap setup. This game is already setting up to be even more interactive, even more seamless. And that's going to be amazing.
From previous games like World, and that they're going to dramatically change the way that we play. For example, we know there will be a cascading effect that can cause there to be less monsters of a specific type available to hunt, or monsters that appear in places that you would not normally expect.
That makes
sense. The Monster Hunter team have explained a scenario whereby a monster could get aggressive and attack another species of monster, which could then cause them to leave their natural locale and move to another area. Monsters...
That's typical migration, right? The fact that Capcom is involving this in a Monster Hunter game is amazing, because that's natural migration of species, of animals, of predator, prey. All right, so having the big monsters over farm, basically, the smaller monsters, so then the smaller monsters leave the area, that happens. So then, in turn, as a hunter, you may be tasked with farming the bigger monsters to keep them out of that area, so then the smaller monsters can thrive again, right? Like, you're helping balance the ecosystem. Now, I don't know if that's a thing, but that would be awesome if that's how the mechanic works.
Do, however, need to eat, so having a monster move to another area creates a knock-on effect where they now must go in search of food within this new area, impacting the ecosystem of a separate zone in ways you might not expect. Even us as hunters can actually hunt too many of a certain type of monster that would cause there to be less of them or none of them in a particular area in the game's world. Hopefully this ends up being as cool as it sounds, and it does sound pretty incredible, but don't worry, if you do want to go on a hunt, there will still be preset quests where monsters will be spawned for you, even if you wipe them out of existence in your world. But do you guys like the sound of this system? It is interesting and definitely an iteration on how they've done it in previous games. Now, whether you're new to Monster Hunter or a veteran, something that doesn't get old is putting in your combos and pulling off your favorite moves with your favorite weapon. In Monster Hunter Wilds, we know that some of the weapons will be getting a...
I don't use every weapon. I'm mainly a switch axe and dual blades kind of guy, but there's such a good feeling. If you're say you're rocking the hammer, right? Such a good feeling. You get that combo working, all of a sudden the main power of the main like move in the hammer, you get that little like baseball swing, right? If you connect squarely, time it just right, and connect on that baseball swing, and you just KO or you kind of like stun a monster, there is no greater feeling than that. Am I right? Like, amazing. So I like the switch axe, and I love it when you're doing my combo, and then I switch to sword mode and unleash the elemental attack, and then you kind of stick your weapon in the monster, and then charge it up, and it explodes. And on that explosion from the elemental disburst of the switch axe, it knocks the monster over. Like, just situations like that are fun, right? And there's the great mechanics to where you see your weapon attack can interact with the monster, and even using it to like cut off the limbs and stuff, like cutting off the tail, getting that tail cut off and see it going flying. Oh my gosh, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for a lot of the reworks as well.
Massive rework, as the devs have highlighted this in various different interviews. It seems so far that the ranged weapons like the bowguns have had the most significant changes,
they need help,
and the devs actually mentioned this. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly has changed. But we know that each
one thing that I hope happens is the bow. I hope the range increases. The biggest gripe that I have with the bow in Monster Hunter World is that you had to be medium to close range just for the bow to do any good. Why? It's a bow and arrow. You should be able to snipe them from across the map. So the fact that you had to be it turned into almost a melee weapon, right? So I've always wanted to use the bow, but to me it's just not very viable because you have to be such close range to do it. Ranged weapons is just that. Ranged. You should be able to back away, run away, hit and run from the monster, and it's okay. But the bow was very limited on the range that you could attack, because the farther you got away from it, the damage dropped off of the bow. I didn't like that. So I hope that that's one of the things they changed.
Have at least one new move, but the team have hinted that there is more in store. We have mentioned it before, but the hunting horn is also getting reverted back to its world style of gameplay for Monster Hunter Rise. Personally, we didn't mind the new style of gameplay for the hunting horn.
I was never a hunting horn guy,
but we know many people absolutely hated it. So if you're a hunting horn main, you can tell us below which do you prefer,
please let me know,
the world version or the more easy Rise version. If you are a longsword or a dual blade player though, while your weapons haven't changed, it's good to know that there will be returning moves, especially to the dual blades, with it getting a demon mode that focuses on evasion. Meanwhile, the longsword has a new and more stationary way to build your spirit level, with the Helmbreaker also making a return, but this time they've made it even more flashy. We know this stuff from Japanese players that got to see the behind closed doors previews, as they actually experienced different weapons from the Western media, and those players seemed very impressed by the changes they saw. Next, we know the world, ecosystem, and map are a massive focus for the dev team for Monster Hunter Wilds. They're pushing the franchise in a whole new direction, but making the world itself seamless.
I mean, I feel like
the
most
wording
games
around
now
seamless is pretty confusing.
I feel like most games now are seamless, though. You know what I mean? Most games that they're doing kind of a quote unquote open world, and I know Monster Hunter Wilds isn't they're not trying to call it open world because there are just like Monster Hunter World. It's not always. He might even talk about this. Monster Hunter World was not open world off the bat, right? You had to find certain monsters first. You had to increase the monster you were fighting first. Then that increased areas, right? Then that unlocked other paths. So you didn't have all of Wildspire Waste. You didn't have all of the frozen Hoarfrost Reach, right? You didn't have all of those right away. You had to do some missions to get to the full areas of it and unlock it, basically. So the fact that they're saying seamless, it's great, but it's not going to be fully open world at the start, if that makes sense.
We don't know exactly what the extent of the changes to the traditional map system will be, but it has been confirmed that the game will feature a number of seamless, interconnected maps.
Yep.
Each of these maps will be what we commonly
Guiding
refer
Lands?
to as locales, but this time there won't be loading screens between them.
Was Guiding Lands
makes the game function like an
trial
open
period
world game, as you will be able to walk between areas without having to load anything. But Capcom doesn't want to call it an open world game because you won't have access to everything all of the time, and there will be restrictions, and the map will expand as you progress through the game. So imagine an open world zone where certain sections of it are restricted until you progress far enough in the game and they open up, and there will be seamless travel between most of these locales as they're mostly interconnected. Something we aren't completely sold on at the moment is the impact of a more seamless world. Obviously, we haven't played it, so the flow could be great, but something that feels weird is that you don't need to go to the quest board anymore, as you're able to select quests directly from the menu.
I don't like
this isn't a massive change, but for me personally, even though it was just extra steps, it felt very Monster Hunter-y and not part of its identity.
I agree. I've been playing for multiple years on PSP, 3DS, PlayStation, like Generations 2. Yes, I've had frustrations with the quest board system, but I've learned to be like, you know what? That's how you do it. That's how you pick the monsters and farm the monsters that you want. You go through the quest board, you see the progression of the like the stars, your HR and your MR rank, right? Your master rank, your hunter rank. And then you see the progression of the monsters, and you see, okay, this I can farm this mission the best for this item, or I need to do this to be able to unlock this. I have all those quests from like the chef to get ingredients for different food recipes and things. So I actually liked it. And I don't know how I'm going to feel about not having the quest board in a Monster Hunter game. I truly feel like it is a staple of the game. You know? It's like taking, and again, I kind of grapple this, Resident Evil 8 Village, right? Resident Evil, you think of zombies. Well, I've been playing through Resident Evil 8 recently, Village, and they're lycans. They're like werewolves. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm like, Resident Evil are zombies, but Village is like lycans and like werewolves and stuff. It's like, it just doesn't sit right with me. I still enjoy Village, but it just doesn't sit right. So not having a quest board in Monster Hunter Wilds, I don't know. I'm not on board with it either.
To go up to the quest board and post the hunt. I mean, think about it. Is it really going to be the same if you can't complain at your friends for not picking up the quest? Another thing related to this that seems to be an awesome addition, though, is that there will be villages that will have their own ecosystems, which we can encounter in these seamless locales. The example they gave us is of a village where the inhabitants farm creatures for cheese and other items. We love this idea, and we can't wait to see more of them around the map and discover the world itself. We also know
like
that
the
the
Fifth Fleet,
themselves
like that
will be much
Wild,
bigger than some
world,
of the biggest areas that we've experienced in previous games. It's said that the starting area of Wilds is probably 2 to 3 times the size of the Wildspire Waste from Monster Hunter World. The area will be a lot more vertical and have more depth, meaning there should be a lot more exploration to be had. Something we love and have already seen is that the locales will have different biomes, as in the trailer we got to see the sweeping grasslands area, a rocky caves area, and even a massive desert area. This combined with the weather system that allows these zones to have 2 different states, and it has been confirmed that each locale will have 2 different states, means there is going to be a lot to experience and explore. But do note, it hasn't been confirmed.
I think that's so cool, by the way, too, that being able to block a monster's attack. I'm going to see if I can right here. Oops.
It hasn't been confirmed what these different means there is going to be
that right here. Being able to like block a monster's attack like that, just the animation alone from that, great addition. 100%. Right? Like you could always block attacks, don't get me wrong. But the fact that now they're like, you're blocking the attack, his mouth with your sword, rather than it just bouncing off of you and then there's sparks flying. Like now it actually looks like you're blocking. I hope this isn't a cutscene. I hope it's like actually things that you can do in like a fight. Like I said, I hope this isn't just a cutscene, but you can actually do it in a fight, because that would just make the fight seem so much more immersive and real.
A lot to experience and explore. But do note, it hasn't been confirmed what these different weather states will be for all of the different locales yet. But with a bigger, expanded world with a lot more depth, Capcom have also added more detail to the map, as they've actually updated it to show more information and depth on the map itself. People in the previews basically said it looks like a 3D map with a ton of useful information. I'm really hoping there's some cool new and wacky locales coming, as I absolutely loved the Coral Highlands and the Rotten Vale from Monster Hunter World.
They were very cinematic.
The Rotten Vale theme alone was a 10 out of 10 banger, so hopefully they have some cool stuff.
I like, and also what I like too, and I'm sure Wilds will do this, is the Rotten Vale had very specific monsters that were specific to, like, think about Valhazak, right? Down the very bottom of the Rotten Vale. Like, that monster just seemed like it fit there. The Otogoron just seemed like it fit there. Obviously the Radabon right here, like that, these monsters just fit this locale, and that's perfect. That's what you want. And I'm sure Wilds will do that too, but that was great. You have different monsters, you're fighting different locales. Coral Highlands had like the Paolumu, the, what's the ice one? I'm drawing a blank now. Anyway, they had like a lot of the flying creatures, right? That were specific to the Coral Highlands, and it was very, very interesting.
Stuff like that in store for us in Wilds. And speaking of some banger locales, what is your favorite locale ever in any Monster Hunter game? Now, if you played Iceborne, you'll be familiar with the tenderizing system And Rise even had the curio points in the endgame. Well, in Monster Hunter Wilds, they've combined this into one seamless system where dealing damage to monsters repeatedly in a certain spot will create wounds that can then be damaged further to have a topple effect or to use a special move on. And we've kind of seen this in the trailer with this stab and drag move. We're really interested to see how this one will play out, as it looks like it could be very impactful for getting a lot more damage and different openings during your hunt. We can see the speedrunners absolutely quaking about this system, so it will be good to know how the speedrunners are feeling about this idea. And next is something that will have a massive impact on our actual hunting and the sense of exploration, which is the fact that certain monsters will only appear during certain conditions.
And that makes sense.
Everyone's favorite new monster, Thor Magala, will only appear when the Sandtide Storm is active. This is something that we also love the idea of, and it will make hunting specific monsters feel a bit more rare and dangerous, adding to that feel that Monster Hunter Wilds is going for with a living world filled with various ecosystems. Another massive change is that the seamlessness doesn't extend to the world itself, but also the story, as the game will have a more focused narrative-driven story where both our Palico and main character, our Hunter, will be voiced. We know that the cutscene transitions between the gameplay and the quest will be more seamless.
Oh my gosh, chat, did you hear that? I think for the first time ever, the Hunter will be voiced. And even your Palico's getting a voice. That is awesome. I love that. I love that. So right now I'm playing Once Human, okay? And everybody else pretty much is voiced except for the main character. And I hate it. Because I hate when you're going through, quest lines and whatever, you talk to people and they're telling you the story and then you have to interact with something and then you click it and then all it does is just show the character and it goes, and then it goes back to the other person that actually talks. It's so weird. Like I said, Once Human does that, and I wish the main character was voiced. So I'm glad that this one is voiced now. Monster Hunter World, all the times when like the commander would talk to you and whatever, and you're just sitting there like, it's like, say something! Sound badass, come on! But I'm glad that they're going to be voiced finally.
Also giving us a smoother experience. For those wondering about co-op though, and how it will work with a more cinematic focus and story, well, we know that players will need to experience some cutscenes solo, but this time the game will do a better job at keeping parties together even after cutscenes are finished, and it will start matchmaking during the cutscene.
Thank you!
So we are
one of the, you tell that I'm getting frustrated, okay? One of the things that I hated the most during Monster Hunter World was that you had to go see the cutscene of the monster first before getting to the party. So many times, if I try to help grind some of my buddies up, I'm like, well, start the mission, go find the monster, and then I can join you. Just let us get in there. I'll rewatch the cutscene. That's fine. It doesn't bother me. But just let us join. I feel like co-op is going to be more seamless now to where it might not be that kind of hurdle.
Super excited for Monster Hunter Wilds, and the next stop will be at Gamescom, where it has been confirmed that this will be the next showing for Wilds. So let us know if there's any features, monsters, or things that you're hoping to see in this new game. Drop a like and comment if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more Monster Hunter coming your way very, very soon.
Absolutely. Arekkz is one of the greatest content creators for Monster Hunter that I've come across. He does an amazing job on his videos. I'll leave it in the comments below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on Arekkz's video. He does a wonderful job. Every time Monster Hunter has something come out, I always try to find his channel to see if he had some new updates on the game. So he does a great job. Be sure to show him some love on that too. Another thing that I wanted to point out, a community member, Asteraf, brought this to my attention, and this is one of the main reasons why I love Capcom and the Monster Hunter franchise. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here so you guys can see it. And then right here. So, Sean Shawnson, love it. Most of Capcom's shareholder reports are online, easy to view, and they provide amazing insight into how you have to essentially baby shareholders into not ruining your products. You know that's right. It's all about the money, all about the profit. It's not about the game. It's not about the gamers. It's all about the money, and that's annoying, and that's frustrating. But Sean Totolo says, I keep thinking about this Capcom stockholder who wonders why the company doesn't just release its next big game earlier so it can be sold to more people and generate more money. To any game creators among my followers, how did you not think of doing this? This is from the PDF of one of the shareholders meeting through Capcom, right? And they kind of talked about multiple games, obviously Monster Hunter Wilds being one of them. But one of the Q&A questions was, wouldn't you be able to capture more profit by bumping up the release date of the next Monster Hunter title, currently scheduled for 2025, to maybe December 24, the holiday season? Capcom, thank you. Thank you for your response. We plan to announce the release timing for the latest Monster Hunter title once preparations are complete. We hope you are looking forward to it. We remain committed to achieving our goal of 10% or better operating profit growth each fiscal year. Let me sum that up for you. Okay? Capcom says, F off, shareholders. We're going to release the game when it's ready. Amazing. Cyberpunk should have done that, but they caved, they gave in, and the game released in garbage state. Now Cyberpunk's great. Capcom always released, or Monster Hunter, the devs always released a solid game, and now we know why. Because they're basically telling the shareholders, yo, pump the brakes, Fox and Friends. That's a Deadpool reference. But pump the brakes, because when the game is ready, that's when we'll release it. Not because you want more money, because the game is ready to go. And I applaud them for that. So, what do you guys think of Monster Hunter Wilds? What are you guys most excited for? I'm just excited to get back into it, man. New world, new monsters. I believe there's 14 confirmed as of right now. There'll probably be more, but 14 new confirmed monsters. And there's just a lot of upgrades, a lot of things that I'm excited for. Basically having the mount at all times, being able to do combat off of the mount. I'm excited for it. Being able to dual wield pretty much, where you can have your main weapon, but then in your mount, you can have like a ranged weapon, so you can kind of ride around and still do some attacks. So I'm excited for a lot of the integrations, a lot of the new things that this game is bringing to the table. But what do you guys think? What are you excited for? What are you most excited for? Please let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more Monster Hunter content, and let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you guys. Have a good evening.